The cheating scandal involving top U.S. Air Force officials has intensified. The U.S. Air Force revealed Thursday that more than 90 nuclear missile launch officers were being investigated for alleged cheating on their proficiency exams. That is nearly 3 times the number of people initially estimated. Our Washington correspondent Daniel Renches joins us now for more on the story. Startling news doesn't make anyone feel too secure.
Elaine, there have been 92 officers, as you say, relieved of their duty today. But the U.S. Air Force insists that the safety of the nuclear arsenal is not in question.
The Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana is the largest intercontinental ballistic missile base in the Western Hemisphere, with 15 separate facilities for immediate launch and 150 missiles.
As the investigation has moved forward, we can now report there is a total of 92 crew members that have been identified as having some level of involvement. That means either participating in the cheating or knowing something about it and not standing up and reporting it. In an abundance of caution, as we follow these new leads, we have temporarily decertified these 92 crew members, and they are not any longer on alert at this time.
The test cheating scandal was exposed after a probe into alleged drug use by nuclear operators. The U.S. Air Force Secretary says she doesn't know whether there has been further cheating at other sites, though a major review is now taking place.
I guess I believe now that we do have systemic problems within the force. I heard repeatedly from teammates that the need for perfection has created a climate of undue stress and fear. Fear about the future, fear about promotions, fear about what will happen to them in their careers.
The independent advisory group, the Arms Control Association, believes there's compelling evidence of low morale because the job, though highly stressful, is largely irrelevant to America's modern strategic needs.
We have more weapons and missiles and staff than the mission requires. Here we are 20 years after the end of the Cold War. The possibility of attack from Russia is really essentially non-existent. We don't need this many people and this many weapons at the ready.
Those not implicated in the scandal have been retested. 22 didn't pass and will face further training while they're taken off the job. The U.S. Air Force says the average test score for all participants was 95%, demonstrating that the nuclear force they control is safe.
And across the country, there are now 450 intercontinental ballistic missiles ready to go at a moment's notice. And U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel insists this review is now a top national security priority. Elaine.
You know, Daniel, it's hard to get over the numbers. Again, you said 92 people out of a job, 22 others failed the test after retaking it. There's a drug scandal in the works. How can they say that the nuclear arsenal is secure, or that perhaps something like this hasn't happened before?
The U.S. Air Force wants you to make a distinction, Elaine, between the cheating and the ability to launch those missiles and the safety of those missiles. So they say the cheating is basically because those officers were led to believe by their superiors that the only criteria really used to put them into a bigger pay wage and to promote them is the criteria of the tests. So though they were passing the tests under their own volition, they wanted to get 100% because they didn't want to avoid being passed over for promotion. That being said, it's clear, Elaine, isn't it, that there are some management issues here because of the level of communication, because of the morale issues. And I think if you look at the big picture here, the likelihood of there being any command from the president to launch an intercontinental ballistic missile is so low. And even if that were the case, the mistake that could be made by someone who didn't know their job would be not to launch it rather than the other way round, because there are a series of complicated protocols that they have to go to get to the point where they can press the button.
Not really any good answer. All right, thanks a lot, Daniel Renches.